They stand nearby, camouflaged right next to us, listening and watching, ready for us when we're faced with battles both in front of and within us. They are present for us when we need them the most. Military chaplains have been there for us since 1775. Today, they continue to do the Lord's work. They provide an ear to even those who don't feel listened to and march with us into our next battle. Tommy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Brian, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
You know, whenever I see your picture on Facebook or others, I immediately think back to when we got notification that the 30th Brigade Combat Team was coming back home from the Middle East, wherever you guys were, and Iraq. And you got off the plane, and you were like one of the very first people. And I just remember taking a picture, and we'll see that in just a little bit. But every time I see your name up on any of the socials, I'm like, that's what I think of.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm usually never in front of the pack. Intentionally.
I know the feeling. What? All right. So you were an Army chaplain. What exactly is an Army chaplain, and why does the military have a chaplain service?
Yeah, that's a great question, Brian. So, the military chaplain, there's kind of I look at it in two parts. One is on one side, we are the caregivers, those who are dedicated to taking care of the souls of the soldier. On the other hand, we're also kind of the eyes and ears of the commanders. So what that means is we have a lot of duties on the staff side where we are part of the command team, and we help with morale and lots of different things. On the other side, when it comes to taking care of soldiers spiritually, and it's not just spiritually. I mean, look, think about your local pastor or priest. They don't just talk about God. They help you in other areas of life. You know, sometimes we help people get connected with services in their community to help them with maybe it's a physical sickness or something with mental health. But we are kind of those people that help the leadership take care of the soldiers.
How did you get into that MOS? MOS is, what does that stand for?
So military occupational specialty.
Right.
All right. So 56 Alpha chaplain. Really, when I was going through seminary, I never thought about going back in the military to serve. And I really didn't know much about military chaplaincy. Looking back, I remember when I was 18, I joined the North Carolina Army National Guard as enlisted 19 Delta Cav Scout. And I did it because I wanted the experience of joining the military, but also to help me through college. And I remember our chaplain back then, I didn't see him a lot, but when he showed up, he had a presence. He was this tall guy, gentle, but yet persuasive. And so fast forward back to seminary, I remember seeing a few guys in classes walking in uniform. I didn't think much of it, because I was focused on something else. God called me to church planting. So I was there to learn all I could about church planting. So I thought, interestingly enough, though, 4 years later, when I'd been planting a church for about 3.5 years, God began to put a passion in my heart to go serve in the military. I didn't exactly know what to do with it because, okay, so I'm starting a church. I'm going to minister here. But 9/11 happened, and if you think about it, people change their way of life. At least for a few weeks, if not anything else. But I had the opportunity. I was living in Las Vegas, and my brother-in-law was active duty Army. He was a medical recruiter. I went to see him one day, and he sat next to the Army chaplain recruiter. And he said, "Hey, Tommy's my pastor. Hey, meet him. You meet." Anyway, we did that. And he said, "Hey, let me give you this mug." So he gave me a mug that had the Army Pro Deo Patria. And so I put it in my cupboard, of course. And then, every so often I'd open that door and look at it. And it was almost like a reminder of God saying, "Hey, I want you to do something in the military." So it would be a couple years later, we moved back to North Carolina. And I ran into an old friend of mine, Randy Powell. We both
I know him.
Yeah. General Powell, retired.
Yes.
So we both started out together, the two of the 252 in Rayford, North Carolina. And we drove Bradleys.
Oh, wow.
So when I came back to Charlotte after serving in the pastorate for a while, seminary trained, he told me about chaplaincy. He's like, "Tommy, you got to come over because we're 50% strength here in North Carolina Guard. We need chaplains." And that was really all the invitation I was looking for. The opportunity. I'm trained. I had the experience being enlisted before. And so it was just a God thing. And it all happened pretty fast. Within 6 months, I had my packet in. It was approved. I got accessioned. And then I went to chaplain school down at Fort Jackson for a few months.
Oh, that's awesome.
A couple of months following that, we, back in 2008, we started that deployment to Iraq.
Right. Here now, because you were in before that, you got to see what everything was like. And with when you got your commission, and what did you come in as, I guess?
I came in as a first lieutenant.
Okay, got it. And so you've got younger soldiers who are seeing this, first lieutenant, but then they see that cross, that chaplain cross. I forget if you guys wore that on the BDUs or not. Talk to me about what that is like when those young soldiers, airmen, whoever it is, on the younger side, where they see an officer and there's that, right, they're going to strain something because they're standing up so straight or at attention. Yeah. But then they interact with you, and you're a chaplain, and you're giving them a softer side of an officer.
Yeah, it was interesting. I thought it was quite comical. Coming in, I'm the guy that came into the military. I didn't have aspirations to reach the highest ranks. I wasn't coming in to get tabs or ribbons. I came in clearly on a call, and it was kind of the call that rocked my life. I mean, we stopped everything. I joined the military and got deployed, so away from my family, just totally going in a different direction. So I had fun with it in a way. So it was. I look at it as a humbling experience to live with a group of men and women day in and day out for over a year, being watched, having to be faithful, true to who I am and my calling. It makes you step your game up. But at the same time, I got to meet a lot of really nice people, cool people. And I had those soldiers who would come up. They were brave enough to walk by and throw the hand salute up. But a lot of them would walk around or turn the corner and go another way. And I was like,
not today.
I thought that was kind of funny and weird at the same time because, I don't do that at my pastor, when I see him on the street, back home. I just say hello and keep going.
Right.
But it's a little bit different in the military.
We're going to take a quick break, but what we're going to talk about when things go a little unplanned and we have some rough days. And we'll talk about that right after this. Welcome back to Stars of Service. I'm Brian Christensen. I am joined by Tommy Watson, retired, was it major? I'm sorry, I should have written this down.
Yeah, retired as a major.
Okay, got it. You've been on a few long trips. Iraq, Afghanistan.
Just Iraq for me.
Iraq. Tell me about, well, first of all, you were a chaplain there in Iraq, and you got to perform your some services, and talk to me about some of those. You shared a couple clips with me of people getting baptized.
Yeah. So, as any pastor or minister would do, I tried to make the deployment more like home for those who believe, and for those who don't. So, not that it was churchy in any way, because it wasn't. When you're deployed, everything's different. But I tried to bring a sense of community into the faith aspect of serving as a chaplain. So we actually had to build our own chapel, and that was cool because a lot of the men and women that would come to chapel, they helped in some form or fashion build the chapel,
right,
or become part of the praise team and things like that. So as we progressed and people came to faith or decided that, hey, I've been a Christian, but I haven't been baptized, can we do something about it? And I was like, well, yeah, we can. So it's funny enough, you just tell the engineers and they build that stuff really quick. So they built us a baptism box, is what I call it. And
hopefully it didn't come from the non-potable water tin.
You know what? I didn't ask. We don't know. So I did tell them to hold your breath.
Oh, boy.
But no, it was great. So we did that a couple times. We in Kuwait, and then also in Iraq. And the beauty of that is people being able to express their faith even in the midst of a deployment, and that's huge.
Right.
It's a big morale booster, and also it feeds the soul.
And when you were there, unfortunately, a few things happened. You would go from your, Sunday service, and you mentioned earlier that there was tragic loss of life. What were those days like?
It's a good question. So I think any military chaplain would say every day is Sunday. So we treat it as such. So we carry ourselves as such. And, it's not just on Sunday we have the religious service or whatever, but in our hearts and our minds, when we go outside the wire, we think this could be the last time, so I want to make sure that soldiers feel that they are supported and prayed up and feel the strength that God gives us. But there was 2 weeks into our deployment, there was something really bad that happened, and there were 3 of our soldiers that were killed, suicide bomber. So in Baghdad, and the connection for me to one of those soldiers, Lieutenant Levi Bernard, right. He had been in my battalion just weeks before, and he was reassigned to another battalion. So our staff knew him and some of our people. I didn't get a chance to really meet him. I saw him kind of passing by, but he was one of those killed. And what we were told at the time, the enemy, when a new group or rotation comes into those areas, that one of the tactics would be to hit them hard and first, and
to destroy the morale.
Yeah, destroy the morale. And so I can tell you what happened. We went. It was the difference in the air. Just being in community went from kind of jovial and energetic to one of deep stress, anguish, and anger. And so I remember for about 3 days walking around, talking to soldiers, just, kind of putting my arm around them sometimes, or sometimes they would come to my door, pray with them, or they just wanted to yell or vent their frustration because of what happened. In a situation like that, what can you do? The rules of engagement, we can't really do anything. The damage has been done. People are killed, and now we have to deal with it. So in our minds, though, we go to dark places when we can't control something or we can't handle something.
And that's where you come in.
That's where my best work comes in. And that's why I believe God gifted me to be with people in those dark times.
You know, when I was in Afghanistan, you know, I practiced for this. When I was in Afghanistan, on April 27th, 2011, we lost 9 people. A week before that, I went to the service for the very first time. That is Army Colonel Mark Gaithier. He is a chaplain in the service. In his sermon right there, he was like, we're going to put on the armor of God. And he began to put on all of his battle rattle, his helmet, his Kevlar, and just talked about that. A week later, an Afghan pilot shot and killed 9 of our beloved airmen and 1 civilian contractor.
Yeah.
With that picture right there, we had just found out over the radio that 9 people had died. And that was the first thing that happened. And we were by ourselves on the Afghan side of the base at Kabul. It took 7 hours for NATO forces to come over and actually retrieve us the next morning. And so what I'm getting at is that picture right there, that's Chaplain Gaithier, pardon me, and that's our hallway. And we are every night we would just sit there in the hallway, talk to each other and everything. He stood there and he was there for hours and hours every night, and for days on end. And I can't tell you how comforting it was to have that. Yeah. And so people like you who take that really, really hard decision of, you know what? I am charged by God to do this, to help my brothers in arms. Thank you.
Yeah. Those are tough times. And you asked a question earlier, why do we have military chaplains? And that's why. And, you know, the crazy thing is, in the midst of all that pain, we still have an initiative. We still have a mission to accomplish. So we can't stop. So I like to see the chaplains and chaplain assistants and all those who support them as kind of that faith community that's raising the arms of the leadership, the soldiers, to help them keep doing so they can do their job, complete the mission. And you know what? We have great chaplains out there. I've met the best of the best. They're in the military, and you know, my hat goes off to those that are still serving. It's not easy. You have to be called to it, in my opinion. But it is the best ministry I've ever had in my life.
Well, thank you for sticking with it and regrouping, or whatever decision that was at the time. You changed a lot of people. You helped a lot of people. You were there for a lot of people. We are going to take a little break and go find some Kleenex. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Stars of Service. I'm Brian Christensen. We needed a little break after that. I'm joined by Tommy Watson one last time here. I wanted to pull up the picture that I took of you as you were getting off the airplane. What year was this?
That was 2010, January.
2010. And who is that again?
That's
Gilbert.
Me. And Sergeant Gilbert, I think, at the time.
And you all had just gotten home from Iraq after a year-long deployment.
Right.
This is at Fort Stewart in Georgia, and then now the extraordinarily long bus trip to Charlotte.
Right.
How long did that take?
Oh my gosh, it seemed like forever. You know, when they say it's time to go home, it's not like you get on a plane and leave today or tomorrow. It is a weeks-long process coming back from deployment.
Right.
So you're waiting upon waiting upon waiting. So we finally land. We're on U.S. soil, and you think, okay, now we can get home. Well, there's a process to that. So no, we got home. We had to stay a few days down at the Fort Stewart and do some out processing, and then we were able to get back to Charlotte.
And there you are.
Yep.
I remember that. I got 2 different pictures of you, literally homecoming.
Yeah, I see my mother-in-law in the red bawling back there. I laugh at it every time I see it because I think that's the only time she's ever. I don't even know she's crying for me, to be honest.
There's a few others where she's
crying because I'm back, maybe.
That's so funny. Yeah, that was at the Armory that's in West Charlotte.
Yeah.
And what I remember that day is I have a good friend, Mike Redding, who arranged through Harris Teeter and literally brought a ton of cupcakes. And there were more cupcakes than there were soldiers. I don't know if you remember that or not.
I don't remember that.
Okay. All right. Well, whatever. Random. But yeah, that was a fantastic day of just you all coming home and just as joy and happiness in every single possible direction.
Yeah.
That was a great day. So just fast forward real quickly. You wrote a book.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
So I wrote this book called Live Inspired, and I'm just that guy. I like when I get around people, I want them to know that they're no matter what stage they're at in life, there's a higher level to get to. Don't stop. So keep leveling up. Well, I begin to think about. So I'm probably like most guys. I don't share a lot about my life with my family, or like I should. So I begin to think about some of the things that my kids did not know about me, some of the things that happened in life, crises that I've been through that changed or kind of made me who I am today. So I wanted to write about those so they would know who their dad is and maybe why I have some of my quirks and some of my strengths. So.
Did you assign like a book report to them? Because that might work.
I did not. I should have. That was a great idea. I did ask them to read it and give me some feedback. You know what? I don't think they've given me the feedback. But
just don't pick up the book that you gave them. And when you open up and you hear that crunch.
Yeah.
So what's next? Now that you've written a book, now that you've retired from the military.
Yeah. Interesting enough, I didn't get that book out until I retired.
Okay.
And it was a few months after, boom, I got it published. So it does help to be retired in some aspects.
Right.
Anyway, so yes, what am I doing now? Well, so continuing some of the things that I've been doing. I've been in real estate for about 18 years. So I have a small team that I co-lead and help encourage them and coach them. But also for the last several years, I've been coaching and mentoring, we'll just call them solo entrepreneurs. And so just helping people with their life and business, their marriage. And so I decided, hey, let's stick, in the military as a chaplain, I counseled and coached decision makers. So why not just put that hat back on in a different way and really pray about who can I impact today? Who can I impact that will impact the most people? So I really got to thinking I should orient my coaching and mentoring towards high-level leaders. So I begin to think about corporate chaplaincy, what that should look like today, not what it has looked like, but what it could be. So I've taken the aspects of military chaplaincy and put them alongside of, business coaching. And that's what I'm going to roll out here in a couple months is I want to come alongside company leaders, CEOs, C-suites, leaders, and help them navigate their life and their business at the same time. However, there's one little different nuance that's going to be a part of my coaching is the faith aspect. So for those who really, you've done it the corporate way for so many years, now how about let's do it God's way? So let me show you how to apply biblical principles to your life. Key aspects of your life is like start with discipline, and then let's talk about your business culture, what it looks like, what it could look like, and then the third part of it is now let's roll that out in your company.
Tommy Watson, you're like the perfect Leatherman. You've got like all of these different skill sets that work perfectly with each other. So,
well, I feel like I backed into all of those. None of it was intentional.
No,
it feels like.
I think it was intentional.
But yeah, God's got a sense of humor when it comes to how he grooms us and grows us as people.
You are an amazing man. Thank you so much for stopping by and sharing a really powerful story.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for allowing me to come and be part of this. I love to hear veteran stories and to even after military life, see what they're doing to impact the community and the world we live in.
Thanks again. Thank you for watching Stars of Service. Have a good one.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.